Hi, so I'm at the boatyard today and I would like to show you my Columbia 10-7. So my boat is a 1979. The length is 35 foot 2 inches. The waterline length is 26 foot 6 inches. The beam is 11 foot 3 inches. The draft is 5 foot 4 inches. Displacement is 13,900 pounds. The ballast is 5,300 pounds, and the boat has a sail area of 539 square feet. It's powered by a Q2M20 MR diesel with 22 horsepower at 3,000 RPM. So here it is. It's buried way in the back here. You can see that the bottom paint is beginning to slough off. You can actually see the gel coat showing through in spots. But overall, this boat is in pretty nice shape underneath. There's no blistering. There's no osmosis. The hull is solid. It will need bottom paint, but that is about it as far as the hull is concerned. The rudder, however, does need some work. I have a couple of different options here. If I just leave it the way it is, I'm going to at least need to fix the bottom here. In colder climates like here in Vermont, you do end up with some freezing and cracking open, and the thing actually drips a little bit of water out when you pull it out in the fall, and it never totally dries out. So at least I've got to cut this thing open, dry it all out, glass the thing back together, and try to prevent it from happening again. But I do have an idea that perhaps I should do a skeg hung rudder back here versus the spade rudder that's on it now. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on that. There's quite a nice flat area here. Maybe you can't see it. I think I've got room, and I would probably retain the shaft that comes down through, and that would be what the back of the skeg would be. A little side note, this cradle is very, very stout. It weighs at least a ton. Very, very heavy, 6x6 I-beam steel. I'm inclined to turn this thing into a trailer to move this boat, provided that I can keep it under 14 feet. Add a trailer hitch and a pair of axles. Curious, what do you guys think? It would enable me to move this thing into a shop to do work. It might make the resale higher if I ever decide to get rid of it on the other end. It'd be much more portable. So I just took a minute to set up my ladder so I can get up topside. Let's go up and have a look. I've not been up here today. I don't know. Maybe more leaves have fallen. The top isn't covered yet because I'm doing a lot of work on it this winter. But it's not too bad. So here's the cockpit. The wind instrument and navigation instruments are not functioning. I'm going to replace them all with new stuff. Here's the helm. There's a compass under here. It's quite a bit for storage. Storage locker on the starboard side. We have a fuel tank in there. This is the locker under the saddle seat. Here's another storage locker here, port side. And here's the sail locker. And it also has some appliances in here. So we have a refrigerator on board. There's the compressor. This model did not originally come with this kind of compressed refrigeration. It had a lighter duty fridge that would keep things cold, but it didn't have a freezer. This one has a freezer as well. That's a hot water heater. It runs off the engine, and I'm not sure, but I think it is also electric. Yes, 110 volts only. So it's also an electric hot water heater. There is a pressurized water system on this boat. Right in the middle there, between the compressor and the hot water heater. That's the pump. This one has compressed natural gas. I'm either going to convert this over to propane, or I'm going to add enough solar that I can run everything on electric power. This sail locker is pretty big. I can climb right down in here. Here's the fuel tank. 40 gallons of fuel. It was just cleaned out last year. That's the manual bilge pump built into the cockpit. If you come back out, there's a place for the pump handle to go right in there. And way in the back here, you can see the steering cables and the rudder shaft and the blower vents. There's quite a bit of stuff in here. That's the back. That's the back of the rear quarter berth when we get into the cabin. Climb up out of here. There's a mainsail traveler. Yes, this boat does need some work. All boats need work. I got to replace the companionway door. I'm not sure what to do with this. I'm not sure how easy that's going to be to repair or replace. I was tempted to redo this whole thing with teak. Hate to lose the light inside. I do want to refinish all this teak. You can see these holes here. That's for the Dodger, which is down below. Wasn't on when I got the boat. I'm going to have to rebed everything on the deck for leaks, just because I don't know how long it's been. And I do have some leaks. I have all new port lights. These need to be replaced. They're down below, so I got to replace and rebed all those. The hatches leak. I don't know if the aft hatch leaks, but I know that the hatch in the V berth leaks, so that needs to be replaced. And I do have soft spots in the deck. These are the chain plates from the shrouds. The starboard side is quite a bit more work to be done than the port side. And while I'm here, I am entertaining moving these chain plates out to the tow rail. I'm going to rebuild the bulkheads below. I'll show you that in a minute. But I'm tempted to go over the edge of the tow rail and bolt them through the hull over the corner of the deck. And get them right off the deck and prevent this sort of weak spot and potential for leak in the future. I'd like to know what you think about that as well. These ports open for ventilation. We've got the trim rings and all that. They all need to be pulled out and rebedded. Here's the chain locker in the front. You can't see it from here, but the cast housing for the anchor is up here is cracked underneath. So I'll need to do something with that. I have not yet decided what I'm going to do about that. The halyards are pretty new. So those are not bad. I will probably swap them all out when I put this thing in the salt in a couple of years. I'm probably going to use the stainless rigging for now. It's been in fresh water. I don't really know if fresh water has the same impact on standing rigging that salt water has. So I don't know. It's going to get all replaced with Dyneema when it goes into salt. But I probably will sail it as is for a year or two while I learn how to sail. I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are on that too. Here's the boom. This is the port side now. I showed you before the starboard side had softer, more damage. The port side, the chain plate for the lower shroud, that seems to be the only spot where it's a little soft back here. And I'll show you what that looks like inside. Again, all 6 of these bulkheads are going to get changed. More leaking port lights on the starboard side. I don't know anything about the condition of the mast lighting. I don't know that it's, if it's working or if it's not working. It'll all be replaced new with LEDs in any case. That's the top side. One last thing. It's probably a very bad idea, but I am interested in some teak accents on this boat. Maybe around the edge here. I know there's a way to do it now with the sheet good with teak bonded to it, so you end up with fewer holes through your deck. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that when I refinish the deck, but I'm kind of curious about it, just for a little more color and to break up the fiberglass. I'd like to know what you think about that as well. There's a table here behind the helm. I didn't show you that earlier. I thought I was going to need to add an emergency tiller to this boat, but check this out. They already took care of it. Behind the helm, here's the top of the rudder shaft. It has a spline slot in it. And I found this. It goes right on here. And there you go. Emergency tiller. So let me open this up and we'll go inside. It's raining a bit today. So I'm probably not going to leave that hatch open. So since I bought this boat, the only thing I've done is a little bit of cleaning. I have not started any refit. I wanted to document the very beginnings of this project, what needs to be done. So let's go inside and have a look. Walking down the companionway. Here's the inside. Definitely going to have to recover all the cushions. It is raining today. That's actually kind of helpful. See, there's a wet spot there, which I knew the port lights leaked. I'm sorry it's a little dark in here. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. But here's what it looks like inside. Dual, nice deep sinks. I've not tried to start this stove to see if it works. There is gas in the tanks. I'm probably going to do that today. This is the refrigerator freezer. All this Formica top needs to be done, and I'm going to re-insulate this refrigerator to hold cold air, make it really efficient. There's the freezer, ice trays. It's pretty small. I might do something else too. I haven't decided for freezer space. And that's the basic shell of this thing is definitely usable. And I thought about making it bigger, but that's, you can't really tell probably, but that's the hull right there. So I can't really add any more space over here. Storage. More storage. Same thing over here. You can see the damage in there. Headliners coming down. There's my new port lights right there. This is aft of the cabin toward the cockpit. We have some water issues here. We'll take care of that. All these headliners are going to be redone. I'm probably going to get rid of some wood here. The trim is all in good shape, so I'll probably save the trim and reinstall it. But I'm thinking about trying to make this thing not so dark. So this is probably going to all end up being white, just so that we can let some light in. All this top stuff around the port lights. So here's the back again. The aft of the cabin. This is the back of the navigation instruments, and these little cabinets. Here's the other side. Navigation instruments. I don't know if I'm going to leave them there to retain the original look of the boat somewhat, or if I'm going to use those for something else, glass the openings over and mount all my navigation instruments on the back of the helm somewhere. I'm probably going to do the latter. Those are the cushions for the cockpit, the blue one sitting there. And this is the quarter berth in the back. Again, more water, more headliner. But the trim is all salvageable. That's kind of the thing with this boat. It does need a lot of the sheet goods replaced. Like this here. Yeah, that's all wet and damaged. Now that piece of trim didn't make it. But most of the trim is salvageable. These are the battens for the mainsail. I have pulled all the sails out for the winter. They're in my basement with a cat. Should keep the mice away. Keep them safe. Here's their AC panel. DC panel. A lot of this stuff works. I kind of went into this boat thinking that most of this stuff wouldn't work. A lot is actually functioning on this boat. And that kind of surprised me. I'm still going to redo all the wiring. But might be able to save more than I thought. Charts. Chart table. That's full of junk underneath there. Has a radio. Cassette tape player. That's going to come out. Another locker. Another locker here underneath the quarter berth. And see, I've got stuff stuck in here, but this is that handle down there. It's hard to see. That's the through hull for the engine seawater cooling. There's going to be a heat exchanger in here at some point, because I'm not going to run salt water through this engine. The engine is under the stairs here. in the companionway. I'll pull that apart in a minute and show you. According to the plans, there's another through hole here underneath the sink, but there's not in this particular boat. It does have, of course, the pressurized water, but it also has a little foot pump here as well. I've not opened this today. Generally speaking, we haven't had a lot of water on this boat, even though it has some leaks up top. There's the bilge. And as you can see, it is almost empty. There's like maybe an inch and a half of water. That's the wiring for the bilge pump, which is, I'm going to be putting it back to the panel the way it's supposed to be. And adding a bilge alarm. Table. These wings open up. Quite a bit of seating space. This table. There is a lot of space, storage-wise, in this boat. An amazing amount of sleeping space as well. I'd like to show you this real quick. More storage space. And more storage space. More there. Giant shelf area behind here. This opens up into a sleeping area as well. But it's kind of interesting how it does it. The back of this cap swings up into that hole right there. That's, I don't know if you can tell, but that's pretty deep already. And then this slides out that much further. I mean, you can easily sleep 2 people on there. These cushions back here on the back come off. And they pop right down in here. Pretty big bed. This boat sleeps 6. The same thing happens on this side. This flips up, creating a nice, roomy single over here on the starboard side. So, port, double, single, starboard, and then the quarter berth in the back, which is pretty roomy, but it's probably a single. The bulkheads need work. Let me close this down. So there's the aft chain plate. You can see this is just coming apart. The headliner's been pulled down. That's the chain plate going through the main bulkhead, the main shroud chain plate. This panel is not terrible, but I'm going to replace it, I think. I don't know what's going on in here yet. It doesn't feel bad, but there's something going on here. So I haven't decided, but I think it's probably going to come out. Which brings me to another question. Do I redo all these with teak again? Or do I do something different? I'm kind of thinking teak. I want to retain some value on this boat if there's any to be had. The low book is about $19,000. High book's like 35 or so. So I'm trying to stay on budget. Everyone loses money on boats, yes, but I'm trying to minimize that as much as possible. So we're on the starboard side, aft chain plate again. Same problem. This one's a little firmer. This is the really bad one. This is just, I don't know if you can see, it's ripping right off, and I could probably poke my fingers right through there. So there's the main chain plate on the starboard side, the softest point in the deck. So that bulkhead's coming out. Going to be replaced. I'll try to save it as a template. The bow chain plate right there. And this panel is just toast. It doesn't, of course, carry as much load as the main chain plate, but that whole thing is coming out of there. I gotta pull this hanging locker all apart. I'm not sure how to do this yet. We'll find out. You can see that door doesn't stay closed anymore. I'm sure that has to do with the rot back there. Get to that bulkhead. Replace that entire bulkhead. And then I am going to do my best to save the trim. I don't know how it's attached to the edge here, but if I can separate that from the panel, I'll save that trim, replace the panel, and clean up, refinish all the trim, and put it back in place. So another storage area here above the hanging locker. Here's one of those opening port lights. You can see they leak. The headliner is old and kind of dry. It's got one little crack, and that's my fault. I did that. I might do something different up there. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just going to replace it with a fresh one or if I'm going to get creative. I love any suggestions you guys might have as to options or how you might do something. Any ideas you have, please feel free to share. But these doors, we're back to the door toward the V-berth. That's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, the bulkhead that surrounds it needs to be replaced. But there's nothing wrong with that door. And so this will be refinished and salvaged. Before we go in there, I'll show you the head. Yeah, it's cold, freezes here. Stabilized. Complete refit on this head. Complete refit. It's really bad. Really bad. Headliner, everything. There's two opening hatches. The shower is in the sink there. This area here, I got stuff stuffed in there. That's intended to be a hamper, a clothes hamper. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that storage space. There's no seacock on this for the head. It only goes into a storage tank. The head, I believe, is new. It's plumbed in, but it's not even hooked down. So I think the previous owner must have replaced that at some point. I can probably save the floor pan for the shower. It looks like it seems to be in good shape. But I definitely have my work cut out for me. This is the worst part of the boat. So back into the V-berth. We have a second bed door here in the V-berth. It also goes to the head. So this is your master bedroom up here. More storage. Locker. Not real big, but some space. Got these shelves along the V-berth on both sides. There's my oars. There's a weird little seating area here. The seat pulls out. So there's room to sit. It's not too uncomfortable. You can work here. Set your laptop up. And mirrors, and that's where you can keep all your medical supplies and things like that. That's probably what I'll do there. Here's the other side of that chain plate bulkhead from the V-berth. Bad. So it's coming apart, coming out of there. Trim. Again, save the trim. So it's fun. This side doesn't look as bad here. Another locker underneath. Pretty big, deep locker. We're opposite of this desk. These drawers are interesting. They're on an angle to match the angle of the boat. Underneath the V-berth mattress, there's a step. So you can get out through this nice big hatch. More of these interesting angled drawers. 4 of them down there. So there's some storage there. Below the chain locker in the front, there's this, but it's like at the bottom of the V-berth toward the bow. There's a locker up there. This is the frame for the Dodger in the V-berth. Shows you how big that is. I think it's probably 8 feet wide, and it fits in this V-berth fine. And if we lift these mattresses out of the way here, there's 2 more pretty good size storage areas. This is your black water tank, or black water up here. Storage there, storage there. There's a little bit of storage there and there as well. I am told that there's a couple of hollow spots on this boat, something I read online, that you can make even more storage areas out of. So that'll probably happen. I don't remember where I found it, so I'll take care of that. So that's basically the inside of the boat. Yeah, here's another leak. You can see that's wet, hatch leaking. I was tempted to call this video, "Here's Why You Don't Buy a Boat," but I don't know. I kind of like projects. Oh, a couple little things I didn't show you out here. I can show you now. Another little hatch. We're looking at the end of one of the fresh water tanks here. And it's also the mast. You probably can't see, it's very dark in there, but the bottom of the mast is right there when it's in place. Underneath these benches here, more storage, lots of storage. And right now this is where the batteries are. They're not going to stay here. I'm going to end up doing a battery bank up aft, probably in the sail locker under the cockpit. Right now this is running on 2 batteries, this boat. And then underneath this side, pop this cushion back on here and get this up out of the way. Remove this cushion here. That's the top of your water storage tank. A little bit of space on top and behind. Same tank. This boat holds just under 100 gallons of water, so it holds quite a bit of fresh water. There are 2 tanks. This is the larger one. 2 freshwater tanks. And the other one is below deck. You can see it through here. There's the second tank underneath the table here. One last thing I forgot to share with you. Here's the engine. It's a Q2 M20, I think. It's a Yamaha 2-cylinder diesel. See, they've done a few things. That electric fuel pump isn't supposed to be there. This is a temporary fuel line. It goes to that little tank I've got up in the sail locker. They have the tank cleaned, and that's how they're running it. The starter, you probably can't see down there in the back. I pulled the starter off already. It was not working. I'm not 100% sure that it's a starter. It could perhaps be wiring in between. But I did try to jump it direct off the battery with jumper cables, and we weren't able to make the thing spin. We were able to make the solenoid react, but not make it spin. So far, since I've owned this boat, there hasn't been a working starter. We have run the engine, though. Let me show you. A hand crank, just like an old Model T. Now, I can't turn this thing over right now too much because it has stabilizer in the engine. And it's been winterized. I don't want to pump the coolant out. But basically what you do is back here, this is your compression release on both cylinders. See, they move together. So you get this thing cranking as fast as you can. Boy, is it hard work. And then you pop that forward. And if you can get it to come over top dead center, it will fire. It pops and it takes off running. And as it takes off running, the slope on this back angle here pushes this thing off. You see this only goes one way. So as it starts going forward, it pushes that thing off so it doesn't come around and smack you. Handle falls off, put it away, running motor. Very cool. So there's a backup to the starter as well. Actually, that's all we've been using is the backup to the starter because the starter hasn't been working. So I guess there's not much else to say for today. I'm going to start tearing this thing apart. I'll try to get those bulkheads out and figure out how to get to the most critical things first. It's time to start. I just really wanted to document everything, where it was when I purchased it. So now you can see what I got and what it looked like, and I'd love it if you'd follow the channel and see how it comes, see how it works out as things progress. Have a nice day.